You're about to watch one of a three-part series between myself and Nick Cosentino, where we discuss why you should use BrandGhost, including making the case that to optimize your career growth or your job search, we should all become content creators. In part two, it is how to use BrandGhost, and so that includes an app UI walkthrough, an overview of the feature set, and then topical guidance on some of the content that we've seen perform well. The third part is a behind the scenes of BrandGhost, which includes origin story, vision, as well as upcoming features you can expect, and we talk about the tech stack that BrandGhost is using. Regardless of which part of the series that you're currently on, you can check the YouTube video description for links to the other videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like for more tech career guidance, and now on to the show. Enjoy. So
Sure.
Take it away, A, B, and C here.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start with the tech stack. So yeah, it is heavily C# based. The entire back end is an ASP.NET Core. When I first started to get this coding, I had basically an ASP.NET Core like web service that I could point other tools at and essentially start getting BrandGhost firing. Then I had to build in my own scheduling into BrandGhost. So again, ASP.NET Core, but I was introducing Quartz, which is, I don't know where Quartz originates from, but there's a Quartz.net, so a .NET version of this. It's a job scheduling framework. So I basically had this system now wired up where I could say, cool, like I can get this going, but it works for me. The evolution was when we started saying, okay, like we should get, like, we want to get people, yeah, Quartz.net, that's exactly it. So how are we going to get people to use this? The first thing I did was like, well, I know C#, I can iterate fast in C#, and I said, I'm going to use this to try and learn Blazor. And for those of you that don't know, Blazor is a sort of like front end and back end tech stack where you can develop in C#. You do get HTML and CSS in there as well, but it's Microsoft's offering to basically allow C# developers to do like full stack and give you something in the front end instead of just being like, like, you know, I know C#, now I have to go learn something else. That's me. Like, I've been programming for a long time. I can program in JavaScript, but like, it's a pain in the butt for me. But we did end up pivoting. So when I had a couple of the other engineers come on board, they said, well, we can iterate fast in TypeScript. We can iterate fast in these front-end tech stacks. Like, let's just use that. And I said, no problem. Like, I trust you guys to do that part. If you want me to tackle the back end, I will keep doing all the C# stuff. So our front end is TypeScript and Next.js. So we have front end and our back end, two completely different languages. It's hosted in Azure. We use... It's funny. John, I think I saw you post about, like, if you're not using Postgres, like, what are you even doing? Yeah. And it's funny. We don't use Postgres, and it's a good question. I don't even know what I'm doing. I use MySQL not because I think it's the best or anything. It's just out of habit now. I don't know why I do it. So when I went into Azure, it was just like MySQL. I see it right there. Add it. Done. I don't know why I don't go for Postgres. It's just like, I type MySQL anytime I have to go to a database. So a lot of people that are coding in C# and using ASP.NET Core will use something called Entity Framework Core. I am one of the few people that does not use it. And it's not because I don't think that it's bad. I think it's amazing. But I am constantly, anytime I go to try using it, I'm constantly fighting against it. And it's definitely a me problem. It's literally because I don't use it enough. I don't know the ins and outs. I go to use it and I'm like, oh, it's not working how I expect. Screw it. Let me just go back to what I do. So I use something called Dapper. Dapper is a very lightweight ORM. It lets you write your SQL queries like right in your code, and then you can map them. I don't know. Dapper, is it like data mapper? Probably is what they combine there. But yeah, it's just a really lightweight way to let you write SQL queries and then map them to like very simple objects.
Well, I like it. I like the pragmatism that you're suggesting with the way that you've built this. I think when I think through the system design interview, because, you know, when people talk to me, they're always asking about the interview typically. You're not like allowed to say this for some reason. You're not allowed to say like, well, I made an election on this architecture because it's a stack that I'm familiar with and I'm confident I can ship quickly. And I think one of the reasons that that's not a good interview answer, maybe you can give your manager hat, but I think one of the answers is that with a small team, the individual contributors matter a lot, and so individual preferences matter more. But with a large team or with a large enterprise, you don't want to be forcing everyone to do it your way. You want to do that tech which scales at the industry level.
Absolutely.
And so I think it just really highlights, when I'm hearing you, to me, what it highlights is, hey, if people in the audience are going to go build a thing, do what's comfortable to you, do what's practical to you. Start from where you're at and learn incrementally. You can learn just in time. You can leverage search techniques, Google, and so forth. And that's going to be markedly different than the architecture that you might hear about in an interview.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. On if we even pick the tech choice for Dapper versus Entity Framework, if I had a team of people and they're like, say BrandGhost starts scaling and we're hiring people and engineers are coming on and they start going, why the heck are we using Dapper, not Entity Framework Core? I would say, excellent question. Good thing I started separating out all this code. If you want to start carving it out and rewriting it using Entity Framework, there you go. Have fun.
Nice.
Like, you can go do that. I didn't, because that's going to slow me down. And if BrandGhost doesn't survive, there's this conversation in the future is never happening. So
upcoming features. So we've established that you're happy to be very transparent. All right, spill the beans.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, we're going to take over the world. No, we kind of hinted at some of the things earlier, right? So for example, like John, you were mentioning some of the AI tools that let you like kind of whip up a post quick. The journey that I was talking about earlier with like a new content creator, I want people to kind of think about this, especially if you're like, this sounds interesting to create content, but I've never done it. If you start creating content through BrandGhost, we have all of your content captured over time. We can use an LLM to start helping you create your future content in your voice, which if you're just posting to LinkedIn or just posting to some platform, good luck. Right? We can be that repository of your knowledge to help you create content in the future. So what we want to be able to do is leverage, systems like RAG to be able to help augment that creation. By the time that we're implementing these things, by the time I'm done saying what I'm saying, there's probably already some more advanced technique that's available. So I'm saying RAG, it could be some hybrid or something else that comes after this. But the idea would be that we can help you do that. We mentioned analytics already. Analytics is only challenging because of what's available through the APIs across these platforms. But we want to be able to allow you to refine your content and generate new content based on your voice using analytics. So what's performing well, and then going through your content to say, hey, look, like you want to talk more about C#, you want to talk about more, how to interview properly. Like we can start creating posts based on the stuff that sound like you, or following structure of posts, because that's another kind of weird nuance thing with social media is like the structure of your post can actually have like a very big impact on.
Yeah.
People don't think about this if you're not a content creator, but that's why people are like, why do all these content creators put all these blank spaces? Like, why don't you just write the paragraph? And it's
I'm so glad to hear you say this, because as a content creator, I understand the importance of structure, but I don't know the solution to structure, which is, I know that there is some structure that performs best for each platform, but I don't keep track of these things, and I don't like alter my posts per platform. So an AI that could assist with that is like, now to be clear, I'm already like paying for BrandGhost, but as the saying goes, take my money.
But the idea is exactly that, right? So we can have templates, and when I say templates, just like literally think about, like, look at a piece of like a content, pull up any social media platform, look at some post, blur your vision, and look at the shape of that.
Yeah,
that's literally all we're talking about is the shape of what content looks like, because we're consuming so much content every day, scrolling through stuff. The shape of content will draw our attention to it. And that's why really big posts that are just like a big paragraph, you will not read that. You will say, that's big, next, instantly. So we want to factor that kind of stuff in as well. But a lot of what I'm talking about is optimizing your existing content and then optimizing the creation of new content.
Brilliant.
There's one more thing that's huge that we haven't talked about yet that is sort of the extension of where my content creation journey is and what BrandGhost is doing in the very immediate term. And that's an aggregate social media feed.
Ah.
So for people that aren't aware, if you post content every day on a platform and that's all you do is post and say, I did it, I created the content, this is not to be discouraging, but you will probably find that no one sees your content. It will take a long time to get some momentum, and it's going to feel slow because it is slow. The way to rapidly accelerate this is to be engaging on other people's posts and making sure that when you do get comments that you're keeping that conversation going. Problem with someone like myself where I'm posting across all of these platforms is the other day I had a tweet that went to a post that went to Twitter or X, whatever, Blue Sky and Threads. It happened to do well on all three of them. I had 200 comments across those platforms to go respond to. Remember that discussion of overwhelm and being like, I'm just going to not do it because it's too much, even though I know as a creator that's helpful. Instead, what we're doing is in BrandGhost, you have one spot, we'll prioritize a social feed for you. And one of the tabs of that is just responding to engagements.
Good.
Type your response, press enter, next, next, next. The next tab of that is engaging with your inner circle of creators. The next version of that is sort of reaching out beyond your immediate network to go engage with other posts.
I like that you're doing that. I think it speaks to the fact that since you're dog fooding your own tool, you can physically feel the pain that the customer feels and that you can prioritize appropriately. Because I would say I empathize with this exact pain point. On the platforms which BrandGhost touches that I typically don't engage, primarily Blue Sky and Threads. When I do get reactions, my response to that reaction, so someone comes and leaves a comment and then I reply to the comment, my response is typically lagged. And that is because I'm only checking on these lesser platforms like once a week. Where Twitter, I'm on that thing chronically, unfortunately. And there is something to, as you said earlier, we know that interacting with the audience is good for building those relationships. And also, as a component of interacting with them, the time to interaction is also relevant.
Yes.
And so the feature that you're describing, I think, is going to be just wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just generally like this idea that you're dog fooding your own tool. I will say, I don't know. We can clip this later if you want. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I was able to visit a Slack for BrandGhost, and the team is really responsive to things that I've posted there as well. So besides prioritizing your own felt pain points as a dog food user, it also seems that you're just doing a great job of prioritizing customer feedback in general. At least that's been my experience.
This is something with the team that I'm working with. We've worked on things before, and we had our last sort of failed attempt at something that was called Meal Coach, and this is a nutrition platform we were building, and we kept saying, like, once we have people using it, like, we're so confident it will succeed once we have people using it, which sounds kind of funny. But we say that because from our experience working together, we're very confident that once we have people that are like our hands on, like, we got you. Like, whatever, like, it's not to say that we will do anything you ask for, but now we have a feedback loop and we can we will do what we need to understand your points. We will problem solve and troubleshoot and fix issues as fast as we possibly can. No one working on BrandGhost is doing it full time. So we try to respond immediately and make sure that, like, whoever is by a computer to go fix it, like, we can go tackle it when we can. But that's like something we pride ourselves in, is like just trying to understand and empathize with users and then get stuff fixed as fast as possible if it's not working as expected.
Awesome. Well, you fooled me when you say no one is working full time, because the ship rate is fantastic and the responsiveness is fantastic. Thanks so much for being here. And
of course,
to the audience, once again, you can check the YouTube video description. If you're on another platform, you should be able to check the bio to get a link to the YouTube. And then I would also point you to latterly.io/perks, where you can sign up for BrandGhost through the discount link. There's a free tier, as we mentioned earlier, but on any of the paid tiers, you will get a discount on that going through the link. So, Nick, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, John.